Hi, everybody. I thought of you as I was reading something about Teshuva, and I mentioned it to one of my classes, and I thought it would be nice to share with all of you out there. I miss you all. It's a wonderful beginning to a new year, and the girls are great, and the 15 Shana Betters are adding a lot. But we, of course, think of a lot of you and miss you. So I wish you all a Shana Tova, and I wanted to share something nice with you about Teshuva. That I read in Al Teshuva by Rav Soloveitchik, some of those shiurim he used to give. I read it this summer, and I thought it would be nice, practical kind of inspiration. So in Al Teshuva, at the beginning of a new chapter called La'avracha, Bevrit Hashem, the Rav points out that there are two Rambams that seem to contradict each other. Okay, Rambam Perek Aleph, Halacha Aleph, says, Keitzad mitzvadin, how do we confess? What's the process? Omer, Ana Hashem, Chatati, Aviti, Pashati, Lefanecha, Vasiti, Kach v'kach, V'arei nichamti, Uvoshti, B'masai, U'la'olam eni chozer ledavar zeh. So I've sinned and I've transgressed, and I regret it, and I'm embarrassed, and I'm ashamed, and I won't do it again, and I will, I vow to change my ways. So that sounds like a normal kind of thought process, right? One is sitting there confessing and saying, I did this, I am so embarrassed, and I won't do it again. I'm changing my ways because I feel horrible about it. Okay, that makes sense. What's interesting is that then later in Perek Bet, Halacha Bet of Hilchot Teshuva, the Rambam writes it like this: Umahi Teshuva, Hu sheya'azov hachotei chato, v'yasiro mimachshavto, v'yigmor b'libo shelo yasei od, Shene'emar, a pasuk from Yeshayahu, Yazov Rasha Darko, V'chein yitnacham al she'avar, Shene'emar, Ki acharei shuvi nichamti. Okay, so here also you see all these elements. You see Teshuva means, and now look at the order, he says that you leave the sin you're doing and decide you will never do it again. And similarly, you regret and feel bad about the past. So in this halacha, the Rambam says that the order will be that you will change your ways and you'll vow to make it different, and then you'll feel bad. And so Rav Soloveitchik asks, why the change in the order? Why in the first Perek Aleph, Halacha Aleph, the Rav talks about the feeling of shame, the feeling of regret preceding the change and the vow to make the difference in your life and to make the switch to doing something the right way or doing it better. But in Perek Bet, Halacha Bet, we had it the other way. That first, somebody decides to change their mind, to change their ways, and then comes the regret. And if you think about it, maybe at first you want to say, well, for different people, it's different. Some people, are more the emotional type, and they will feel horrible at something and get a stomach ache and feel guilt, and that's why they go on to change and to do tshuva and to fix what they've been doing wrong. And for other people, they just do what needs to be done, and the feeling might come later. But the way the Rav talks about it here as he continues, and again, if you want to look at this, it's Al Teshuva in Hebrew, it's page 101, and then for a few pages after that, the Rav talks about how really there are two ways for one person to do tshuva. There are certain sins, there are certain things I do where it's that gut reaction first, and I feel horrible about it, and I know it's wrong, and I feel terrible, and that's why I come to God saying, I'm so sorry, I know this is wrong, it's inconsistent, it's disloyal to God and to the Brit, and therefore I will change my ways. But there are other times that I don't feel so bad about it, and that's not what's motivating me to do tshuva. The tshuva is actually a result of learning something or hearing something or some sort of cognitive process where I've realized that what I'm doing is wrong. But I don't feel so bad. And I come to God in tshuva just from that standpoint, saying I need to change, I know I need to change, and I will change. And what's interesting is that then, and I think everybody can maybe relate to this, the desire to change comes later, the feeling of regret. That emotional part of it actually comes after, once you've changed. And I've seen that happen, I know, with girls here, and maybe you remember that, where you'll learn something in class, maybe about Hilchot Shabbat. And you do it because like you feel bad not, because now you know it's wrong, it's right to do it this way, something about how you open cans on Shabbos, or something about the way you spend Shabbos, or you dress on Shabbos, or whatever. But it's not because you feel bad. But the truth is, after a while of doing it the right way, you realize what it's added. You realize that really is better. My life is different. My commitment is stronger, or my integrity, is more true. And then you start to feel about the way you used to act. And then you start to realize that I do feel bad about the way I did it. And now I feel the regret. So sometimes the regret comes later. And I think it's important because I think that both are valid ways to change. Both are valid processes in Teshuva. And either way is fine, and either way is welcome. You can decide to do better and to learn more and to fix the way you're doing a halacha, or to change the way you're acting, either because you feel emotionally invested in that relationship with God and you feel horrible about the way you've been approaching the relationship, or functioning in the brit, and that's where the nichamti and the boshti, the regret and the shame, come first, and then comes the vow to change. Or sometimes you just learn something new, you read something, or you've been thinking about it, and you know you have to change, and you don't feel it in your gut. But the truth is, it comes after. A lot of times it comes after, and that's also okay. So I think it's nice to keep in mind. Somebody in one of the classes, when I was talking about this, brought up ahava and yira, and we threw that into the mix and thought about which process seems to be more out of ahavat Hashem and which out of yirat Hashem. And we decided, you can tell me what you think, but we decided that the one where you are feeling bad seems to be more about the ahavat Hashem. It's a relationship, and you care, and you actually feel bad about what you've done in this relationship, whereas the knowing I'm doing wrong is more out of a sense of yira. You don't want to be punished, you don't want to be disloyal, but it's not because of the love, because the love makes you feel sick, the love makes you feel guilty, and the yira just makes you switch and change. So I obviously hope for all of you that this season is filled with as much ahavat Hashem as yirat Hashem, and that your relationships develop in that way out of a real sense of love and desire for the opportunities that we have in being Am Yisrael, and watching what's going on here in Eretz Yisrael and feeling connected to it, and davening for Eretz Yisrael and for all of Am Yisrael. And I hope you all have a very successful Aseret Yemei Teshuva, and Chagim season here, and a Shana Tova. And please be in touch, email or just write on the Facebook page something to tell us that you're thinking about us, because we're thinking about you. Okay, Shana Tova.